Black cisgender heterosexual identified men are killing Black trans women. Black ones.
We are not talking about it in the church.
Those street guys are already engineers. If they're mixing drugs and stuff together, they're chemical engineers.
If you're just like, yeah, let's kill 50 cops just because, you know, that's only a fraction of the Black people that they killed. Wait, now you're talking about my wife.
For those of you who are joining in, we are talking about just the housing in the Black community and owning property, why it's important, and how to get yourself in there.
When I think of financial literacy, I just don't think of the classroom work. I think some of it is practical application.
I'm scared, especially, you know, calling them to arms, talking about poll workers or poll watchers. That is rooted in history of voter suppression and intimidation.
Joe Biden needs to make that a part of his educational platform.
Call that shit out.
I don't see much value in you speaking in tongues, and yet when you speak in English, you don't say nothing for my people.
Many of the reasons why we're dying is because of the conditions we live under that cause our health to be so bad, and that cause it's the food, it's the water, it's clean that shit up first.
When their fathers had prostate cancer, I had like a 150% chance of getting cancer, being diagnosed with cancer. I had a friend that did a raw vegan diet, 20 years remission, had thyroid cancer, never had surgery. I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
This week in Black People Shit, Black and Smart, African Americans in STEM. I'm your host, Chrystee Pharris. Historically, while much of the world was living in primitive conditions, Black people in Africa were advancing much of the world's science, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy. Even during and after slavery, Black people like George Washington Carver, Henry Boyd, Benjamin Montgomery, and Thomas Jennings made great strides in the field of agriculture, carpentry, steamboat shipping, and dry cleaning. Engineers like Walter Braithwaite, Ursula Burns, Hugh G. Robinson, and Wanda Austin have busted down the doors for Black people to be accepted in the field of aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, and computer engineering. So why is it so hard now to get Black kids interested in math and science? Today, to discuss this and many more topics, we have Senior System Test Engineer Manager Jubair Legrand and President of True Engineering and Design, Ted Taitt. As always, this conversation wouldn't be complete without our very own actress and Peloton enthusiast, Janora McDuffie, and writer and professional rap music debater, Abdul Majid. Let me bring everybody in.
Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Hey. All right. So please, everybody who's out there right now, share, do the share button to let people watch it, do like a Facebook watch party. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments for any of us on today's show, please join us in the chat because we love to hear from you. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for our guests coming in today. How are you guys doing today?
Everything good.
Everybody's doing good.
Yeah, good. Well, we about to jump on in here. So, after last night's debate took everyone by surprise, what was supposed to be a conversation about policy and leadership quickly devolved in shouting and name calling and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, what are your thoughts about last night's epic disaster?
Elementary school teachers need to get paid more.
Absolutely. And why do you say that?
Because trying to moderate that nonsense, just it's a little window into the life of elementary school teachers. It was horrible. It was embarrassing.
You look like an embarrassment to the world.
Yeah. Jubair, what your thoughts was what?
We look like an embarrassment to the world. Trump and his call to arms is just ridiculous. Stand by.
Yeah, they definitely didn't talk about their policies or anything. It was just like a shouting match. How about you, Janora?
Well, first off, hey, Karen Ward Ross, we love you, appreciate your support every Wednesday. And yes, my head hurt. My ears hurt and my heart hurts. Yes, Jubair, I agree. It was an embarrassment to the entire world and almost a threat. I felt scared, or just, I don't even know how to articulate how I felt after the blatant disrespect and racism that came out of Trump's mouth.
Were you surprised?
I
No.
definitely wasn't surprised. No.
I actually was surprised he let some stuff slip.
I grew up in New York, so it didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. No, it definitely.
Like, we all know he is one, but the fact that he did it on the world stage and let everyone else know that he is one.
So then maybe what my surprise wasn't him feeling that way or saying that way or secretly calling his base out to say, I see you, you know, I'm a slide a 5 on the backside to you. It's the people who are his supporters that still stand by him. That is what's surprising to me, because it was so clear as day last night, like clearer than this gray. And you guys know, I really work on being like this very open, non-judgmental, let me hear all the facts kind of girl before I decide on how I feel or what my idea is about something. Man, I feel like that goes out the window with them, and there is no logic involved. And I do purposely watch all the news outlets. Last night, I made sure that I tuned into Fox News to see how they were going to spin it. Because how do you spin it? You know how they did it? All the crazy interruption that was making my ears bleed and my head hurt. They said, oh no, that's how he's not going to be bullied. That's how you show strength and what's calling Biden weak and timid. And also they spent it by keeping the conversation on this whole Russia, Ukraine way more so than they in fact not once mentioned his whole comment about the Proud Boys. So I'm just confused and I'm hurt. And leading up to this big day, I'm scared, especially calling them to arms, talking about poll workers or poll watchers. That is rooted in history of voter suppression and intimidation. Call that shit out.
How about you, Abdul?
Well, I thought initially I thought it was funny, but it was also sad at the same time. I watched a lot of the morning news programs like Morning Joe and a bunch of other stuff. They referred to it as a assault on democracy. I really listened. I wanted to hear his platinum plan, because he had this plan that he rolled out a couple of days ago for Black people called the Platinum Plan, and how it would help financially help Black people. And I really wanted to hear what he had to say about that one. And Joe Biden, there was no policies given out, so I was entertained. Like, I gotta say, like, it was like the two old guys in the Muppets. They sort of screaming at each other. So I thought it was funny, but it was sad. It was very unpresidential, and I did want to hear more policy debates and the yelling back and forth. But that's what you're gonna get. That's who he is. That's like Ted said. I'm from around here. I'm from around the tri-state area, so I knew his modus operandi. I know how he got down, so I wasn't surprised much at anything he said. That's who Joe Biden said. That's who he is. When it came to one of the questions about coronavirus, and he's pretty on point with that one. That's who he is. So what do you expect?
Right.
We all knew from the Central Park 5.
Yep.
The Central Park 5. All the stuff he got away in Atlantic City with not paying people. All the his ex-lawyer Cohen called about and said everything that he's been saying while he's been in jail is just proven the point to who he is now as a person. So the thing that got me was that I saw several people, Black people, still defending him this morning. I sent a couple of links to some people who were defending him, saying, they defended the Proud Boys. They said the Proud Boys weren't that bad, and that he wasn't a racist. And then they showed some old clip of Joe Biden of Trump talking about how he was not a racist and how he denounced the Ku Klux Klan and a bunch of other people. So but the Black people are surprising me more and more each day. I'm kind of disgusted by a lot of them. And, what are you going to do?
I did see a lot of people say that it just came out wrong. He didn't mean it that way. It just came out wrong. And I'm like,
He meant it.
What are you talking about? And he made this group very popular, and he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, but they keep making excuses. What?
Their membership has risen. The Proud Boys, their membership has risen since last night, and they were in the street marching, and they posted a bunch of stuff with them out in the street and how proud they were that the president acknowledged them publicly, and it's like it's like Bizarro World. It's like
it's been Bizarro World for the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, but
I need a hiatus.
Oh yeah. Senator Tim Scott, he did say that.
The idea of him being a statesman and being like that with all this praise he's getting, Obama should have got, but they give it to him, and he's out of his mind.
Yeah. Are you guys, Ted? Are you looking forward to the Kamala Harris and Mike Pence debate?
I think she gonna eat him up. Yeah, I think that's going to be entertaining in a different way. But still, this whole presidential thing, I can't do another 4 years of this. I really can't.
Here's my thing, though. Why are so many engineers, especially in Silicon Valley, supporting him? You have a lot of engineers supporting him. Why is that? Like, what's the idea behind that? Do you guys know any? Because I've read a lot of articles about Silicon Valley really supporting Trump. Why is that? I don't know any.
It's probably financial.
Yep.
Financial in what way? Give everybody out there who's not in the engineer world a little context in that.
Well, I mean, if he's opening lanes for technology companies to make money and pay less taxes, it benefits all the engineers working for these tech companies.
And the contracts that they get from them, from a lot of this backhanded deals that they do, they just cut a lot of checks in the background, and that's how they get a lot of the senators and everybody, just from that.
Wow.
Like I worked at a company that said, we're not telling you who to vote for, but we do government contracting, and Republicans always give money to government contractors. This was an email that went out at the job.
Wow.
So then my question becomes, and I'm sorry, y'all, it popped up in some other place in my house. I got it was bad sound, and I need y'all to hear all this knowledge this sister's dropping. Daggone it! Shout out to my brother real quick, Janora McDuffie. Hey, so back to what you guys were saying about the financial part being the reason that maybe you well-paid engineers or other people in a financial realm might still vote for Trump. When does morality or your heart or who you are as a person trump your pocketbook?
We're engineers. We don't have heart.
Oh. Okay. He's like, that's it. Jubair.
Not more to be said.
That to me, that's just their upbringing.
Yeah.
I can't I've turned down jobs that paid more so that I could stay home with the family rather than travel all the time. So I don't let the money part change who I am.
So where does that come from, Jubair? Like, how do you get that?
My mother. That's how I was brought up.
Hold up, but don't you think like the engineering world, there's mostly like Indians and Asians and white people. Do you think that plays a factor? Because they tend to be conservative as well.
Yeah.
Or is it just the fact, or is it just a monetary thing?
It's both. And you gotta remember, me and Ted are we're some gnomes on the shelf in the engineering world. I've worked at companies where I was the only black person or one of two. So
yeah,
it's just part of the
So for all of you guys who are just joining the conversation, we were talking about just the whole debate and everything. And our special guests that we have on today are Blacks in STEM who are in the engineer side of things, and how politics, who we're voting for, plays a part in their world. you know, and so we're just having some discussions on that and how it plays a part. But thank you everybody for joining. Let me ask you, how did you guys decide to become engineers?
Go ahead, Jubair.
You're gonna laugh. So I was a horrible student in high school. My plan was to go to DeVry, so I'm just gonna keep it short. I was going to DeVry. My mother woke me up one night and said, sign this financial aid paperwork for DeVry. I signed it, didn't remember it. I got a letter from DeVry saying I owed $30,000 in the mail, and I got a letter from NJIT saying you got a full scholarship. So I called her up like, hey, I don't know what this NJIT thing is, but so she was like, remember I had you, I woke you up to sign that financial aid paperwork? She said, yeah. That was NJIT application. So you owe DeVry $30,000 and NJIT giving you a scholarship. Guess where you going?
Wow.
And that's how it happened.
Wow. And do you like what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always done stuff in the house, like taking all the crap apart, putting it back together, using speaker wire to wire stuff up. It was not a speaker in my house that had the original wire not cut and spliced, because I was always using that wire to build stuff.
So let me ask you before we jump to Ted. You said that you were not a good student. I think people have this idea that if you have to be super duper extremely smart to do engineering. And I'm assuming that there is some truth, but is it like a different side of being smart or something? You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds, I just know a lot of people feel like they can't do it.
And I'll say this, if I could be an engineer, anybody could be an engineer. I didn't bring a book home all 4 years of high school. I didn't do homework. All I did was pass the test. In college, I slept through most of my classes, and somehow I graduated. I pick stuff up and I can do the work. It's just I really never really applied myself, and I wish I did apply myself, because I'd have made more money earlier on in my career than I had made.
Okay, all right. How about you, Ted?
Well, I was a good student, so I don't know what you're being talking about.
Yeah, he was.
So,
just so you guys all out there who are watching the show right now, Abdul and Jubair are brothers. Ted and Jubair were really good friends, introduced to Abdul. So we got a whole group of friends that are on this show today. So go ahead, Ted.
All right. So I became an engineer because kind of the same reason Jubair did. You know, I always liked taking things apart and figuring out how they worked and then putting them back together and hoping that they worked. So I didn't get my butt kicked as a kid.
You mean whooped? You got whooped?
Well, my parents are West Indian, so whooped, kicked, you know, whatever was closest.
Whatever.
Belt, the shoe, you know, whatever was closest.
TV guy.
But, you know, we grew up. You can't be breaking stuff, you know, so I had to know how to fix it. And I was good in math, good in science. It just all made sense. And then when, you know, doing the engineering thing, it was, all right, I could be a doctor. Too many years of school. I could be a lawyer. Too many years of school. Engineers, they make good money. I could do that in 4 years. I'm going to be an engineer.
Went back to school twice, right?
I went back once. I went back, but that was after working for almost 20 years and realizing that there's limits to where you can go in the technical field, right? I had gotten to a point where I was doing well, but I knew that was kind of the limit. So I went back for business and got my MBA for operations management.
Okay.
So I got a question. I got a question for Jubair and Ted. So I know that we all know a lot of street dudes. We all know a lot of from back in the. We just, you know what I'm trying to say. How did you get past hanging out with them dudes and focusing on the schooling part of it? Like, you know what I'm trying to say, Jubair?
Yep.
Like, you know what I'm talking about.
So I'll just give like one summer, after my freshman year, I came home for the summer, and I'm hanging out, and I'm going to New York with some people. We got pulled over, There was a little something in the car. I've never smoked in my life. They were smoking, and I'm like, the cops, I know they smelled it. They let us out, let us go. And I was like, never again. And I never came home from college any summer after that. I stayed on campus and took summer classes because I knew if I came home, I wasn't going to graduate.
Wow.
So I would come home like every now and then. I would say what's up to people, visit them, drive around, then go right back. If I did come home for like a day or two.
Man, how about you, Ted?
The way I stayed away from a lot of trouble was kind of this. I was in the studio. I got into producing music like my freshman year of college, and I turned it into a business. So I was selling studio time and, you know, helping people put together demos and making money. But, you know, all the time that takes kept me out of the street. Mm-hmm. You know, I still got into a little trouble here and there, but nothing major. And if I wasn't in the studio, I was how can I say, I was I wasn't gonna say I was a single man, so I could focus on schoolwork and the
Oh, this is gonna be a very interesting.
We're not the typical engineers.
It kept me out the streets, though.
Yep.
Yeah, it kept you into something else, though.
Oh my God! Yeah, this is what's gonna happen today. Well, we're gonna have a good time. Go ahead, Janora.
All right. First off, I was not going to reveal the secret about Abdul and Jubair being brothers, but you know what? Looking at their lighting and background and their lean, you cannot help but put two and two together. And of course, the way y'all are having fun, y'all go way back. But really appreciate having y'all. In terms of, let's stick with back in the day, back school, back growing up. Now you all are brothers with good jobs, so everybody loves you, right? Everybody is patting you on the back. How can being smart and doing the right thing growing up be celebrated? Or why in general, maybe, does our culture more celebrate athletics and music and art and entertainment, but not so much the dude who puts stuff together or discovers something new, or the science and the math? Like, how can we change that conversation and stigma as well?
Well, a big part of that is media, and it's what you're shown.
Yep.
Right. You know, the smart guy in the class. I mean, now it's a little bit different because being smart is celebrated. You know, being a nerd is the new sexy, you know, those kind of conversations. But growing up, it's really how people are programmed. So growing up, did anybody like math? What's the first thing you hear about when somebody brings up math? Oh, math is hard. Mm-hmm. Right? Math ain't hard.
Nope.
You just got to do it. You know, math. You could figure, there's a lot of things harder than math. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but it's how we're programmed, you know? So I enjoyed math, you know, figuring things out, you know, but some people, they just hide behind that math is hard. And that's the end of the conversation.
So I'm curious to know if you want to become an engineer, can you do it? Can you start in your 40s? You know, or is it something that you need to really start at a young age?
You can start whenever.
Yeah, but it's your mindset.
Yep.
You know, how you programmed yourself, because it's kind of hard to change at 40. You know, if you've already programmed yourself to not liking math and science, I don't see how you transition into an engineering career. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, but there's some people that didn't have the opportunities to go to engineering school and could run laps around these degreed engineers just because they're just bright naturally, and they could see things and just from observation figure things out. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not all about the degree, but especially for us, the degree is needed to walk through the door.
Exactly.
So, but how did you guys go from being like, well, maybe not you, Ted, but going from being undisciplined to being disciplined, because there's a discipline that comes with being an engineer. Like you have to put in the work. So how did you make that transition from being like undisciplined to then not doing homework, not bringing the book home, to now you're a disciplined engineer?
It was the check. I'm gonna tell the truth. It was the check.
You're so wise and talkative.
So
it's the money, y'all. Everybody out there, you become an engineer, you're gonna make you some good money. Is that basically what you're saying?
I mean, so I have a problem doing. It sounds stupid, but I have a problem doing
multiple choice
questions and stuff. I can't do them, but I can write an essay like you wouldn't believe. So once I realized I was failing tests or messing up on tests because of that, I found a way to work around it. And then I realized I couldn't cram like everybody else. People be studying until 2, 3 in the morning the day before. And I would try that and I would fail the test. So I started studying the week before, just doing a little bit every day and then just reviewing the night before. Once I did that, Dean's List. So it just took me trying to figure out how my brain worked in order to pass the class.
Do you, when you got into engineering, did you also learn about all the Black people that came before you that were in engineering?
Not at all.
No, it took a KRS-One song for me.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Serious.
Wow.
Blastmaster KRS-One put me up on people who were doing it.
So this is a question from Marcia, who said, "Good evening. How can I implant an engineering mindset in my 10-year-old grandson?" Good question.
You have a shoe?
I'm sure she's got a shoe.
No, I actually didn't need it. It's first letting your 10-year-old know that math can be fun, science can be fun, and keep exposing that child to new and different things.
Like,
and
can you give some examples?
Like put on a Discovery Channel instead of ESPN.
Right.
You know, just get them interested, because they might see a show on space and then start, thinking about, why is that? How is that when it comes to space? You don't know what a kid's going to gravitate to.
Yep.
But the engineering thought process, it's just a thought process of how to go from an idea to an actual product. So, that comes from curiosity, and that comes from learning how to think things through. So, don't let them feed into that idea that math is hard or science is hard. Let them be curious.
One thing I want to add to that, let me just add to that real quick. There are summer programs and weekend programs at colleges, at engineering schools, where the kids can go and do little experiments and just learn math, learn coding, all kind of stuff that they can sign them up for. So that's one path they could take, is have them sign up for a class. And they'll do different disciplines. So there'll be one class for writing code, another class for mechanical engineering, another class for electrical engineering. So that way they can figure out which one they like the most, or which one they gravitate to.
Both of my kids go to a summer program at the school Jubair and I went to every summer. They're in there learning something new.
I know I'm gonna let let them jump in, but I want to do a follow-up question about, you talked about coding. How important is coding? Can you explain what coding is, and will it be here for a long time?
Everything is computers right now. Look at the Tesla cars. All of those, everything is run by computers. Even the like a Toyota Corolla has so many computers in it that old school mechanics can't work on them. The new mechanics have to work on them.
Wow.
And so when I started, I went to school for computer engineering. So I could go either computer software side or electrical engineering side. I started working as a software engineer at a government contractor. So I was telling Abdul this last time he was here. I don't know if it's still there, but I have code, or had code, in a satellite. But I don't like coding. It's not for me. So I stepped away from it after 4 years. and decided to, do testing. But software is everything. And if you can do software security, anything cybersecurity wise is the way to go right now.
So if she tells her grandson, you can protect the world, you could protect me, you could protect, people's homes and all that kind of stuff, that might get him interested in doing coding.
It's in everything.
Right. That's good. Go ahead. I know somebody, because I've been asking all the last little questions. And Kev said, my son's a freshman there this year.
You know who that is, Ted, right?
Yeah. Tell him join Nesby.
So I read an article.
Engineers.
You want to go, Janora? You got a question?
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes. Jesus, I've been down here in this corner. Lonely. Shout out to our other sister, Tangerine, who's here visiting us. So okay, just want to make sure I didn't have any feedback there. Okay, great.
I put you up there so you wouldn't be by yourself and lonely down there.
Oh, thank you. My question is, you guys are definitely bringing it, and it's a needed conversation. My question is, why is it important in the first place for us to be in these fields? Just starting there. Why is it important to see brown folks in these STEM careers?
Did you hear about how facial recognition technology was not picking up people of color?
No.
You didn't hear about that?
Yeah.
It wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
So, in instances like that, they need to have some people of color around so they can, help work out these algorithms. If you're not in the room, things are going to be developed not even keeping you in mind.
Exactly.
Because we're not at front of mind for a lot of these developments.
But I also heard that I read in an article as well, I think it was maybe like CNET or something like that, that the STEM world can be pretty racist. Is that true? And if so, how do you get around that part? Because that's also part of why people don't like doing it.
Well, it definitely is racist. I mean, when you're one of two blacks at a whole company, then you at a building with hundreds of people don't speak to you, and I don't care. Don't talk to me. I don't care. But then they realize what you could do, and they need your help for something. And then when I became a manager, they want to walk past me in the hallway. I'll speak. They don't say nothing. Then they're going to come by like they needed something from me, and they're like, "Oh wait, you're a man. I didn't know you were a manager. It shouldn't have mattered if I was a manager. You still should have spoke."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they'll try you to try and bring out that little playing field or
right.
And you just gotta hit them with little slick comments without cursing and just fire off on them to make them think, wait, I was just insulted. Yes, you were. Now do what I asked you to do.
So how do you get around the racism portion? I mean, I know you're saying, because you're in a management position, but if you're not in a management position and you're trying to get into this world, how do you get around that?
There is no getting around it. You just got to go through it.
You got to bust through it.
Yeah, because it's a representation of the world we live in. We live in a racist country. Let's just call it for what it is. And, everyone has different experiences, but I came from New York in junior high school to a mostly white town for junior high school and through high school, where I was the only brother in every class except for gym and lunch. Okay. So I had, my rude awakening and, exposure to, what goes on outside of our community at an early age, luckily. So I learned very early that the angry brown person doesn't win, regardless. Even if you win the battle, you don't win that war.
Yep.
Because now you're labeled as, emotional or threatening because you raise your voice, whereas somebody else might do the same thing and be considered passionate. You know what I'm saying? So when I was managing people, the first thing I would do when I see somebody of color start to get an attitude with people just because how they're being approached, I'd pull them aside and say, look, I know they approached you incorrectly, but you don't have to fire right back the same way. You let them know that they approached you incorrectly so they don't do it again, because the angry brown person never wins in the corporate environment.
Yep.
So do you mentor these people? Do you mentor the people that you're talking about?
Yes, I do.
I actually do too. But one other thing I want to say is I kill them with technology. They'll ask me something or they'll complain about something. I'll shoot an email out. So you said blah, 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 blah. Is that what you meant? And then they respond back. Or they'll say, I never said that. I'll attach the email that they sent previously to the email and just add them to it, take everybody else off the list. And then I'll say, next time, I'm going to let everybody know what you're doing. And that stops that right there. Use the technology against them. And if you have a conversation with somebody, you put that conversation in the email, just so we're both on the same page. When we were talking earlier, blah, blah, blah. Am I getting this right, what you were saying? And then when they respond, now there's nothing they can misconstrue.
Right.
So I just got one more follow-up question. Just so does joining a group like the Black Engineers group that they have, or any other group, does that help with getting around some of these issues, or help feel like you're not alone, or is it just, or are you guys in any organization?
Well, so what that would help with is, if you're talking about in the same company or outside of?
No, outside. In general, like, if you're not alone in something, it helps you get through the what you have to get through at work.
Yeah, it gives you like a little cheat sheet of who the racists are at work, or who you can trust, or who will help you out if you get stuck with something. But and if it's outside, it gives you that confidence that, oh, I got somebody at this company. If they get on my nerves too much here, I'm gonna go over there with them. So you can bounce. So you have that networking.
Right. And network is very important. So, having some kind of support system for most people is helpful. Some people don't need that kind of support, but my advice is to find that community, because, trust me, no matter how bad your situation is, somebody's had it worse.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you need to hear that to really be like, okay, I'm going to get over this, because it's not as bad as, somebody else's.
I just want to bring up something that Norma says. She says I work with engineering students in Hayward, California, and she would love to have them hear your stories. So, Norma, you are on my platform. So if you shoot me an inbox message, I will try to figure out a way that we can all connect and make that happen. I just want to make sure that I bring that up and acknowledge that. So go ahead, Abdul. Or Janora.
How do you guys go about making STEM cool? Because I think that's probably one of the bigger obstacles. It's cool to be on the corner. It's cool to be a rapper. It's cool to whatever. But, working in sciences, because people think either A, they don't make enough money, or B, you just look like a cornball.
You see how I go to work, right? You remember how I go to work. I go to work
in
T-shirt, Timberlands. I go to work in whatever I feel like. My wife get mad because she want me to.
Hold on. Here's the thing, though. Hold up. Let me push back a little bit, because you and Ted aren't the normal engineers. You guys got some street savvy about you. So, to the people, speaking to the people who are not street savvy, how do those people go about the business of making it cool? If you're an herbal type person, because a lot of engineers, a lot of the kids who would normally want to go into that field, go into something else. Lawyers or doctors, because that's cooler than it is being an engineer. So how to make being a Black engineer cool if you don't have that street, thing about you?
Well, for some people, no matter what they do, they're not going to be cool.
Yep.
Right? I'm just saying, engineering's a job. I don't transform into an engineer and then transform out of it when I step out the building. I've had jobs where for like 7 years where I had to wear a full suit, because that was that corporate culture.
I wouldn't take that job.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I said the same thing coming up through college. I was like, I'm not wearing no suit. But then, like I said those things when I was single and didn't have other people relying on me. So when it came time to, buy them pull-ups and then having another kid in Pampers, I threw that damn suit on. I just made sure I made it look good.
I got you. Janora, would you like to say something before I get to this question that somebody posted?
I do have a question, but let's honor our audience. We are always appreciative of the questions and the interaction in that space. So I'll still be here.
Okay, so Ken asked the question, what safeguards do you use to avoid mistakes as an engineer?
I'm going to say, for me, is ownership. You're going to make mistakes. You just got to own it. Don't try and back out of it. Just, hey, I messed up. I'll do better. I'll do better next time. You can't try and fluff your way out of it. You're going to make mistakes. You just got to own up to it.
Right. So in my career, it's part of it is experience, right? You learn from a mistake. It's better to learn from somebody else's mistakes so you don't have to repeat them. And it's all in your planning process about, having plan Bs and plan Cs in case certain things happen. So it's a bit of overthinking to try to prevent the mistakes. But then when they happen, figuring out the root cause and how to address it. Because in my industry, it's very time sensitive. So sometimes you got to do 2 or 3 things and then go with whatever works, because you don't have the time for the iteration process of trying things. You got to go with your gut or based on experience and, be prepared if things don't go right. But mistakes, things happen. You're trying to flush out all the bad things that can happen.
So just to add on to what Ted said, so my industry, I do system tests. So I test a lot of. So back in early 2000, I was testing Skype over the equipment that goes over the internet. So I have to make sure that stuff works because some of the stuff I do is government contracting. So lives could be dependent on that stuff. So we have to test it. So we plan out every aspect of the testing and get approval from all parties involved just to make sure that we're covering everything that the customer wants. And that's one way that we minimize, but there's always going to be corner cases where there's going to be something that sneaks through, and you just got to, like Ted said, learn from it and move on, like add that to your next set of tests.
So
go ahead. Life, in my industry, people's lives depend on my products too. I work in cosmetics. So, some people really need it. You don't need it, but it enhances. Some people's lives really do depend on that.
Some people need it.
So that's what I wanted to just dive in, just to give more of a sense of if you can let the audience know specifically what you guys do in a roundabout. I know some of you can't talk about it completely, but if you could just give an idea, because I think a lot of people, even like myself, like I know general, like a way of what engineering is, but I really don't know specifically what you guys do and what areas. And I think that's part of the problem, is that I think people just think science and math and they're like, okay, I'm not good at that. But I don't think they realize all the different things that, there's so many different areas, right?
So
yeah.
I like I said earlier, I started off as a software engineer. Then I transitioned over to testing. I actually worked, I can say this because I don't work there anymore, but I did stuff for the Navy where we're ship to shore communication. Got sent out they flew me out to Hawaii for 2 weeks to train some people out there. So I'm just telling you the diversity that I have in my job. I worked at another company that does, how you use your phone through the cable box now, through your cable system? I worked on that for 3 years over in Brussels. So I got to go to Brussels like 3 times, and France. I worked on, so it's so diverse. You can do all kind of things. It just depends on the way you want to go. And the job I have, well, I worked in healthcare, testing the computer that sets up the blood analysis machines. So when you get your blood test taken out, it goes through a certain set of machines. I worked on that computer that sends it to the different instruments and then gets the report back. So I worked in a lot of stuff, but it's being an engineer, like Ted said, you're opened up all kind of stuff that you could do. There's different paths you can go. Like Ted could have worked at I worked at Siemens. I shouldn't have said their name because I hate them. But I worked at Siemens. Ted could have worked there because he was a mechanical engineer. He could have been working on robot arms that pulled the blood tube off, like the test tube off, and put it in the machine. So it just all intertwines.
Wow. How about you, Ted?
So my career has been as a package engineer, even though my degree is mechanical. And what that is, and even that's broad, but I worked in the beauty care cosmetic industry, developing all of the packages for the makeup. So I've done fragrance packages, compacts, lipsticks, lip glosses, you name it. I've seen it, nail polish packages. And what that job entails is both creative and technical. You have these designers and marketing people get together in a room and they come up with what they want their next launch to look like. The designer goes back and creates a nice sketch, pretty picture, and they hand it to the engineer and say, this is what we want. And then they walk away, right? So the engineer's job is to take it from that sheet of paper and develop it to becoming a real product, so they could then fill it and launch it and, have pretty people advertise it. So that, my job is everything in between, doing 3D drawing, 3D printing models, building injection molds and glass molds to create the shape of the parts, making sure everything fits and functions together. Making sure that it could be filled with the right amount of whatever's supposed to be in there, and making sure that whatever that formula is doesn't kill the package, and then making sure everything's functions and can get to the consumer all intact. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff that nobody thinks about.
When you guys come up with
I definitely.
You got it, Janora.
No, I was just going to comment at first that is absolutely fascinating. And you're absolutely right, Ted, that we don't think about all of the things and layers that go into just products that we have and all the people involved in science and engineering and creativity involved. So I think that's awesome. And I'm so happy that you're here to share the in-between and to be brown faces that represent that magic.
When you guys come up with these things, whether it be like a bottle or something like that, if you come up with an idea, the company keeps it, or do you get a share of that? How does that work? Like the guy who came up with the idea for an iPod, like, did he get a cut of that? Like, how does that work?
A lot of times, no. If you come up with a brand new way to do something, you can patent it, but it's still owned by the company you work for.
You might get a bonus and an attaboy. That's it.
Right. You get your name on the patent, so you can say I have a patent, but they own it.
But you don't get so it's not like an actor where we get residuals after every time we, the show.
No.
It's like,
no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
One hit a quitter.
Wow. No, that's fascinating. That's really fascinating. I think it was important for us to have a conversation to let people know that there are other options that are out there. I think what was great about your story, Jubair, is that you were saying, I was not the smartest person. I was not good, but this interests me and I excelled in it. And also my mama made me get a scholarship, and that's why I ended up going down that road as well. But I think it's important for people to hear this story because I think people are lost and they're always just, they don't know which direction they want to go in, or they're thinking entertainment all the time. They think that there's a lot of money in entertainment, and sometimes there's not You know what I mean? People are still trying to make it. We're still trying to get that big break. And I also think that it's important that we start to hit in these fields where we really can excel in, because we're smart enough to do it. Since
can I add one thing?
All that. Absolutely.
So one of the questions you guys asked was I think it was Abdul, how do you get the street person to get interested in engineering?
Right.
Those street guys are already engineers. If they're mixing drugs and stuff together, they're chemical engineers. The Mexican cartels that's digging those tunnels, those are construction engineers or industrial engineers, whatever. So they're already engineers. They need to be pushed in the right direction. There's so many smart street people that make us look like just dummies, and they just don't know or haven't been taught or pushed in the right direction.
Somebody said, Jerome said, I'm not sure it's about engineers being cool. It's more about our people having exposure to our career. Agree with you. And then Ken said, oh my God, these conversations are so cool. It explores my options of picking the perfect career for me. Y'all should do this again with different careers. Super cool. Absolutely, Ken. And that's what BPS is all about. BPS, we are talking about subjects. I think I just got a frog in my throat. We are talking about subjects and about things that Black people don't discuss on a regular basis. And that's what we're all about here. We definitely, what'd you say? Oh, this, they got their own conversation going in. And y'all have to know that Abdul is my right-hand man. He has been a part of our Sistars group since 2011, and we just thought he was so smart. We used to be like, oh my God, Abdul has to come in today. He's got to call in because he's so smart. He would like lay down every little thing, and then he's been friends with us ever since. So thank you for sharing your brother and your friend with us.
Yes,
he made a. I know what he was laughing about, and I made me laugh. So I had to tell you this. Stop.
That's that brother.
I thought it out.
Before we get to our BPS of the week, you guys know we have another BPS person of the week. Do you guys want to leave anything with people like Ken, who is out there, who might possibly think about getting into engineering? What advice would you give them? What words would you like to leave with them and to the audience? And for the young lady who wants her grandson to possibly move in this direction.
Want to take this, Jubair?
I would just say find your passion and then find an engineering job that fits it.
And I would just say stay curious. I mean, especially now, kids have access to so much information.
It's so easy.
Just take some time, off of TikTok, off of Minecraft, and just start, looking at, engineering, shows like How It's Made. You might find something, along the lines of how things are made that interests you, and you can focus on that. There's opportunities everywhere. I mean, I do a podcast about packaging because, we're underrepresented in that field. And when you think about it, everything needs a package, right? So talk about jobs and job security, whether it's, the brown box that comes with the Amazon smile on it, whatever a product, your bag of lettuce, or your bag of cauliflower for your cauliflower rice, which I don't eat, but, everything needs a package. And with that package, they have to be concerned about how long the shelf life is going to be. So, if you're into chemistry, the materials that make up that pouch, has all kinds of barrier properties and all kinds of other, nerdy terms that I don't feel like talking about because I'm not into cauliflower rice, but you can go search and explore deeper and deeper with just using Google, so if you can't find something you're interested in, you're not looking hard enough.
There you go.
Put down that damn TikTok.
So Ken, just so you guys know, I'm so sorry, Janora.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to just off of what Ted said. I know that was specific for Ken or maybe the younger audience, but what you just said, you dropped the mic for old people like me too. Stay curious. How beautiful is that? Because I feel like as adults, we often don't talk about, I ended up somewhere and I don't like it, or it's not what it was cracked up to be or what I thought it was going to be. And so what do I do with my life? And I think going back to stay curious as an anthem to just find what lights your fire. And I think that's beautiful and appreciate it from all ages.
Hello.
I agree.
So Ken said, put in mind, I'm 14. Go ahead, Ken.
Okay.
Trying to find something I'll be interested in when I reach older. I love it. I love it.
That's
I love
great.
it. Yeah, thank you for joining.
14 is a great age. You have time on your hands.
Look, packaging. You might want to get in packaging.
Just use it.
Yeah. We did have a question. How does an engineer transfer their skills into entrepreneurship?
Good question. You know, entrepreneurship's not easy and everybody's not built for it. So it's about, like any entrepreneur, it's finding a need and being able to service that need, or else you really don't have a business if it's something that nobody needs. So it's, it could be very specific. Like for me, my company is based in the packaging world, primarily in beauty care, but it's finding a need and filling that need.
And like you said, everybody's not built for it. I couldn't start my own because I got child support. I need that constant check.
Trust me, I'm on that same boat, but it was just time. It was the next logical progression in my career.
All right, we're going to jump into our last one, but Tangerine said, I wonder what my life would have been like if I was exposed to engineering at an early age.
Well, it depends on who she was exposed to.
Yeah.
We've got tons of friends who, we went to school with that are doing, great in life.
Yeah.
Through engineering. So, not knowing where she is and,
don't let Tangerine fool you. She out there making that YouTube money. I see her videos.
Tangerine, she be working it out. She got a show tomorrow, you guys. Karen Ward Ross has a show on Wednesdays, and Tangerine has a show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So definitely check them out. All right, so let me get to our BPS of the week. Our BPS person, and Abdul, if you'd like to pull up those pictures for us and everything. But our BPS person of the week is the owner and operative of Made in Denim, an online fashion jewelry company for women that is made in denim. Established in 2010, they are helping to reduce landfill waste by using only recycled denim jeans that we get from donations or secondhand stores. Please welcome Tiffany Milan. Let me just bring her in as she looks at there we go. Hey, Tiffany.
How are you? Hey.
Did I get your last name right? Milan?
No, Million, actually.
Million? Oh, see, y'all, I am dyslexic.
Okay.
There's no telling what's going to come out of my mouth. I should have asked you before we had it. But thank you for coming out. I think that's so wonderful that you have this, that you're recycling and helping the environment and donating a part of your proceeds. So could you just give us a little bit more information about your products and just about what you do in your business?
Yeah, so like it said, the company's called Made in Denim. So it's made in as in women because it's jewelry made for women, made it from recycled denim jeans. We've been in business since 2010. And we use recycled products only. I got into this because I used to be a denim buyer. It's so funny because listening to your show and all the different facets about careers and doing things of that sort, I've done everything under the sun. And believe it or not, Ted, I used to be a packaging buyer, so I worked in the industry as well. I used to work for several beauty companies. And I was responsible for purchasing all of the components and packaging for beauty and skincare products. So prior to that, I was a denim buyer, and I also did some consulting in the denim industry. And I decided at one point that I just wanted to work for myself. So I was always into accessories, always into fashion. And one day I was sitting with a bunch of swatches and decided I was looking at it and I had all this excess, and I ended up wrapping, I think, the denim around my finger, and I thought, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then I did the research and realized that there was nothing like it out in the market except for one bracelet that I believe it might have been Gucci that had made a denim bangle, and that was it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to monopolize on this. So I did my research, and it took me about 2 years before I mastered my craft. And I've been at it ever since. So 10 years, actually going to be 11 years in April. And in 2020, I finally launched a men's line, and that's called Mr. Denim. And hopefully in 21, going to launch something else as well. So it's been a really interesting ride. I've seen the progress, and now I'm starting to see people actually copy what I do, and they're starting to do the same thing. And I take it, I'm flattered by it. I don't see anything as competition, especially when it's another Black-owned business that will be doing the same thing I do. And I actually promote them and promote other businesses as well.
I love it. The fact that you're supporting others. Oh, what'd you say?
No, how do you go about the business of actually making the design for the parts that are not denim, the metal parts? Do you do that by yourself, or is it you partner with another company, or how do you go about doing that?
So I create or design a lot of the molds. I work with some factories overseas, and they will produce them for me. But unfortunately, just to get the cost that we come to an agreement that they can use those parts and sell those parts to other people as well. But my line is I have different types of jewelry in my line, some which are molds, which I infuse the denim in, and that's the ones that they're allowed to sell those molds to other companies. And then I have some that are just 100% denim. Those are the more expensive pieces because they take a long time to make, and just very time consuming and skill involved in making those.
Go ahead, Janora.
I just wanted to say, Tiffany, I think your work is beautiful. It's an honor to have you on the show. 10 years in business doing your own thing. And one thing I wanted to specifically point out and shout out is you said it took 2 years to hone and master your craft. And I think a lot of people, when they start off as entrepreneurs, they just have an idea and like, bam. But no, you talked about like the time to master the craft. And I think that's very important in terms of a longevity of a business. And so props, sister.
Thank you.
I can't wait to sport your jewelry on an upcoming show.
Right? And that's funny. Yeah. I was going to say the same, just because, a lot of times we start a business, and when it doesn't pop off in the first, couple of months, 6 months, and then a year, and then you just want to kind of give up. But you were like, no, I'm going to keep rocking this for the next 2 years. And what I also loved was that you were saying, instead of saying, oh my God, I can't believe they stole my idea and I was doing this, you were like, no, I'm going to support you. I'm going to support you as well and show you that I'm supporting you. And I thought that that's something that's very special and amazing. That says a lot about you. So for all of you guys, go ahead, Abdul.
Oh, I just got one last question for Tiffany. So the holidays are coming up, and I know during COVID, people are going to want to, send gifts to their families, and as opposed to just giving it to them as new. So do you have anything going on with your line in terms of like specials or anything? How can they get in contact with you to send their gifts, or how does that work?
Right. Well, I usually do all my promotion on Instagram. So on there, I will have, especially in my stories, coupon codes and deals and things like that. And Instagram, I also have one-of-a-kind pieces that can be purchased through DM and things like that. So there's always something going on. I'm constantly on social media, which I'm not a social media person, but I'm on there just to continue to have business exposed and do collaborations and things like that. So you'll always see something going on. And, you know, it's you have to stay in the media for people to, you know, continue to support you and see, and you have to keep doing new things because, you know, they get tired of things after a while. So.
Well, everybody, we are coming to the end of our show. We want to thank all of you guys for just joining us. Ken said, "Say YouTube money." So anyway, again, we want to thank our two guests that came on. I know they gave their last words. Abdul and Janora, would you guys like to say anything before we get on out of here?
Nah. I'm gonna just continue to keep hope alive and keep loving and focusing my time and my attention not on the negative like shenanigans last night, but on this moment with these 6 positive folks doing good, positive, wonderful things in the world. So yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
Yeah, go vote and like Jubair and Ted said, remain curious and take those devices, social media devices out of your kids' hand and put a book in their face.
You know what we do with Jaden? Only Fridays, only Saturday, Sunday for a little bit of time. That's it.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching the show. Once again, we'll be back next week. Thank you to Ted and Jubair. Brain. I told you, my brain. Well, no, because that's not what he said. Because I was calling him Jabbar.
Ignore Abdul. You had it right.
I know, but anyway, see y'all. Okay, and Tiffany, thank you all for coming and joining our show, blessing our audience, sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and just planting a new seed in their mind about what we could be doing in the world and making a difference. So thank you. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. And thanks for watching This Week in Black People Shit.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us. Definitely. It's a good time.
Hold on.